morning, my dear students. In previous class, we have discussed about basic concepts of OOPS. We have discussed about basic concepts of OOPS chapter. In that, we have discussed only the definitions like what is object, what is class, what is polymorphism, inheritance, data abstraction, encapsulation. Only definition we have discussed, and what is the advantage and disadvantage of OOPS, and what are all the applications of OOPS. Only the theory part we have discussed. Next chapter is what? Your classes and objects. Classes and object. In this chapter, completely you are going to learn how you are going to write a programs. Okay, this chapter is completely based on what programming. If you know object and class definitions, if you know access specifiers like public, private, protected, it is very easy to write a programs. Okay, just you have to know what is object, what is class, how we are going to declare object, how we are going to declare class, and access specifier. If you know these concepts, it is very easy to write a programs. And your new chapter is what? Your classes and objects. Okay, before going into the concept, first we will discuss what is the difference between C and C++. Okay, difference between what? Difference between C and C++. Okay, C program is also called as what? Procedural oriented programming. Procedural oriented programming is also called as what? Your C language. And next one is what? Your object oriented programming is also called as C++. This difference is very important. So C language is also called as what? Procedural oriented programming. C++ is also called as what? Object oriented programming. That is OOPS. So here the first one is what? C language. So C language we are calling as what? Procedural oriented programming. What is meant by procedural oriented programming? Means everything it is based on what? Your algorithms and flowchart. Okay, the first point is what? It is procedural. It is procedural programming. Okay, it is procedural programming. What is meant by procedural programming? Means everything it is based on what? Your algorithm and flowchart. Algorithm means you are going to represent step by step. Flowchart means with the help of pictures, like pictorial representation we are calling as what? Your flowchart. So procedural oriented means you are going to represent a program step by step. That is based on what? Your algorithm and flowchart. But in object oriented, it is object oriented. It is object oriented program. What is meant by object oriented programming? It is based on what? Your objects and classes. Objects and classes. Okay, it is mainly works with the principle of what? Objects and classes. With the help of objects and classes, you are going to access or modify or whatever you are going to perform. Everything that is based on what? Objects and classes. But procedural means it is based on what? Your algorithm and flowchart. Algorithm and flowchart. And the next point, it uses it for any type of communication, like for read and display or for read and write. We are using what? Functions. Okay, to read and write, we are using what? Functions. With the help of functions only, we are going to communicate. Like it uses what? Printf and scan. So in C programming, we are using what functions to read and write the data. Okay, functions means print function, scan function. What is mean by print function means whatever the input you are giving from the keyboard, that will be read, that will be accepted. What is that? Printf. Printf means print function. Anything like character or numbers if you are entering from the keyboard, that will be accepted by what? Your print function. And any output that is going to display on the screen, that will be done by what? Your scan. Okay, scanf, it is mainly used to display. Okay, with the help of functions, you are going to read and display, or to read and write functions you are going to perform in C program. And in object-oriented programming, here, instead of functions, we are using what? Objects. Okay, with the help of objects, we are going to what? Access the data. What is that objects with? That is what you are see out and see in. Okay, this is what your objects. Okay, see out and see in. So see out means whatever the output you want to display on the screen, that will be done by what? Your see out. See out stands for console output. Okay. Next concept we are going to discuss word programs. That time we came to know what is meant by see out and see in. So see out and see in are objects. With the help of objects you are going to communicate. Okay, with the help of see out and see in, you are going to read and display the output on the screen. See out means it will display the result on the screen. See in means whatever the input you are giving from the keyboard. It may be a number, or it may be a character, or it may be alphanumeric. Whatever the input you are giving from the keyboard, that will be read. Read means accepted. Okay, that will be accepted by which function? See in. See in stands for console input. See out stands for console output. This is used to write. Write means display. This is used to read. Read means accept. Okay, these two objects are used for what? Communication. But here, instead of objects, we are using what? Functions. Okay, to read and write, we are using what? Functions here. Next. Third point, it is not secure. It is not secure. And here, it is secure. C program, it is not secure. Why? Because here we are not using any object concept. Only with the help of function calls, we are using what? Program. We are writing what? Program. It is not secure. Anybody can access your data. Anybody can modify. It is not secure. Because here we are not using any hoops pillars. Hoops pillars like your inheritance, polymorphism, encapsulation. These techniques are not used in what? C program, and it is not your object-oriented programming. But in your C++ language, it is secure. Why? Because here, with the help of objects, we are going to access the data, and it is completely object-oriented program. And here, you can also protect and hide your data with the help of encapsulation technique, data abstraction, polymorphism, and inheritance. These four concepts we are calling as what? Hoops pillars. Okay, it is mainly used to protect your data. Okay, it does not allow anyone to access or modify the data. So it is very secure because here we are using what? Hoops pillars. That is what? Your data abstraction, data encapsulation, polymorphism, and inheritance. These concepts are not there in what? C language. It is completely based on what? Your algorithm and flowchart. And it uses function call for communication, and here it uses what? Message passing. So here it uses what? Function call for communication, but here it uses message passing. Message passing means with the help of objects you are going to communicate. Okay, that objects we are used for what communication. With the help of object you are going to pass a message from one system to another system. But in C language we use only what your function calls. Okay, we use only what your function calls for communication. And next, fifth one, it uses again what your functions. It uses what functions and it uses what methods. So see here, in C language it uses what functions. Okay, for functions for read, write or anything if you want to pass, like protocols if you want to pass, everything that is based on what function. But in C++ it completely based on what your methods. Okay, with the help of methods you are going to what? Access the data. So these are all the important points of what C and C++. They'll ask for 5 months. Mention the difference between C and C++ or mention the difference between POP and OOP. Okay, see here, this C is also called as a POP. Okay, in short form we are calling as what? POP. That is procedural oriented program. But in C++ we are calling as what? OOPs. That is what your object oriented program. Okay, either they can ask, write the difference between C and C++ or POP and OOP or procedural oriented and object oriented. They can ask the difference in 3 different types of ways. So these are all the important points. C language it is not secure. Why? Because we cannot hide the data. Because encapsulation, abstraction, polymorphism, inheritance, these are the concepts we are not using in C language. And it is completely based on what function and function call. But in C++ it is object oriented programming. You can protect the data, you can hide the data. You cannot access others' data, in the sense you cannot modify, and everything you are going to communicate in the form of what? Objects.